On this week's World of Saltwater Fishing, we'll be off Norwalk, Connecticut, in Long Island Sound, experiencing some of the best fishing for big striped bass this area has seen in a long time. Stay with us.
George Poveromo's World of Saltwater Fishing. Big fish don't stand a chance.
What brought me up to Norwalk, Connecticut was the big run of trophy class striped bass that this area has been experiencing in recent memory. It started off with a very good friend of mine, Rick Mola from Fisherman's World in Norwalk. I go way back with Rick with Saltwater Sportsman articles and also television episodes together. He was telling me how the striped bass fishing has rebounded so dramatically that this particular season they've been experiencing some of the best fishing for trophy class stripers. He said, you really need to come up here and experience it. It's really off the charts fishing. So fast forward, here I am, Norwalk, Connecticut. I brought up my Mako 214 center console, docked it at Norwalk Cove Marina, and riding shotgun with me is Max Finch.
I write a lot of articles for the Fisherman magazine, techniques, all different stuff. Anything from lures, bait fishing. I do video reports each week. I don't guide. I work like 50 plus hours in a tackle shop, Fisherman's World. So my days off, my 2 days, I cherish to be on the water, get on that bite, and I just absolutely love fishing.
As would prove to be the case when boats began racing to bass busting on bunker schools, the Mercury 250 horsepower Pro XS V8 outboard powering my Mako 214 gave us a huge advantage. Its 4.6 liter naturally aspirated block, which was paired with a 1.85 to 1 gear ratio and 19-inch pitch Mercury Inertia EcoProp, delivers strong hole shots and aggressive torque throughout its entire RPM range. The Mercury 250 horsepower V8 weighs around 600 pounds and is approximately 20 to 30% quieter at idle and wide open throttle, respectively, than leading competitors.
So as we were leaving Norwalk Cove Marina dark and early, Max was explaining how the situation was going to go. We were marking fish on the Simrad. They weren't quite in a feeding mood yet. We were dropping down some flutter jigs early. Nothing happened, but we are armed and ready with a spin tackle for any kind of action when those big bass decided to come up and start exploding on bunker on the surface. So as that tide started to kick in and that water started picking up its pace, that ocean started to come alive. We're looking around and we're watching bass crashing bunker schools, but they weren't really sitting there stationary. These were fast-moving blitzes, and you see the birds working. So Max said, here they are, let's go after them. So we go racing to a blitz. We get to the area, we start popping our lures in there and working it. I'm retrieving my plug, and it's about maybe 6, 7, 8 feet away from the boat, almost getting ready to remove it from the water, and boom, I see this big bass explode on it right off the bow of that Mako 214. I'm hooked up to one of these big striped bass. Here we go.
Oh, nice, Red. The boat eat?
Yeah.
The boat eat, the best.
A topwater bite and crazy, especially when they eat it right by the boat.
That was awesome. When was the last time you caught a striper?
I had to Rhode Island 2 years ago.
Oh, 2 years, cool.
That's why I enjoy coming up north to get fish we don't really get in Florida. Oh, here's that baby right here. Look at this.
Ooh, that's a nice fish on a popper.
Yeah, it is. He's not done yet. I'm here to make it easy on you, Max.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you got one in for me, Max. It's later. You need help lift that thing up? I opened the bail. Bell's open.
Cool. Got it?
You got it? Okay. Let me lift that plug out of the way, too. I'm going to get that so I can showcase it. That was so sliding on the Rapala.
Yeah.
That new translucent color.
That's an awesome color. It was a really sweet eat right boat side.
What an amazing fish.
Yep.
That is incredible. Very
Very clean.
On top water.
Yep, very clean looking. It's got some sea lice on them. They just showed up and they're feeding really heavily in our local waters.
That's so great.
Cool, let's get this girl back in. And there's nothing better than that. That's a good way to get your heart pumping, and my shoulders went, okay, good. George hooked up to a bass. This is a good start.
This is magnificent. Any kind of bite on top water is exciting, whether it's a 2-pound sea trout, a largemouth bass, a bluefish. But when you're talking about a 25-pound class, 30-pound class striped bass, they leave an explosion when they hit that lure, and the bite is actually pretty darn good.
George Poveromo's World of Saltwater Fishing is proudly brought to you by Penn. Let the battle begin. Mako. You'll find them where the fish are. Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here. Mercury Marine. Go boldly. George, we'll be right back.
With one beauty of a striped bass taken on top water, the sound was beginning to come alive. Max Finch and I are off Norwalk, Connecticut, pitching Rapala X-Rap Magnum Explode chuggers for trophy class striped bass.
So now, with the skunk out of the boat and a beautiful striped bass released to our credit, he was back to the game. Now we're getting more in this like drag racing mode, and that other boats are out there. And we had a gorgeous weather window, and Max was telling me that it had been really rough even the day prior to our arrival. So I guess everybody from the Connecticut area or coming across from New York saw this gorgeous day, and they wanted to cash in on the action too. So that put a little more pressure to try to race to these blitzes and try to be the first boat there and try to figure out the motions. Again, these were fast-moving schools. You'd see the birds working and a couple big blitzes going off. So here we go, along with several other boats, all racing to the same time. Ready. And once we would get within casting distance, Max would bring that boat down to neutral, and we'd fire away and just start working it, and bang. There we go, hooked up. All right, on again.
On again. You good, George?
I'm tight, I'm solid.
Let me know when you need that net.
Just to get nice and play him out. You just can't horse these. Coming down, Max. I got to get under the outboards here. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. Get him off the bow here. Coming on the bow. Here you go. And I'll get him up there for you. He's a little
spunky. Nice.
Max, another one. What crazy.
Yeah, it was
pretty
crazy feed around the boat. They were blowing up everywhere for a minute. And it was really sick watching them eat these topwater plugs off the surface. Really healthy looking fish.
That is crazy.
How you liking it, George, watching them eat the plugs?
Shoot, I'm loving it. In fact, I gotta get up close and personal with my bass here.
Yeah, get on them.
And whereas that first bass I had decided to slug it out deep, this one had a whole different attitude. It ran off and it would come near the top, start thrashing and rolling. And again, it was on that Rapala Magnum Explode 130, the translucent hue, the new color, or hue I should say, transparent, and bass number 2 on that combination. So that's sort of how that little morning blitz had gone. So Max said, let's go ahead and drop down some jigs, see if we can pop a fish or two jigging. So he drops down first, as he wanted to show me some of the action on that, and bam, instantly he's on. Max, waste a little time there, why don't you?
Drop the flutter spoon down, and they nailed the jig. First drop on the jig, and they railed it.
I'm gonna get some good stills of that, Max, too, because that's, you know, for the saltwater piece.
Yeah, cool. So we're out on Ian's Neck 11B. A lot of local guys know this area. Very, very popular for jigging. We're using these big flutter spoons that imitate the bunker and herring when they're around in the spring. And they are really, really deadly. I mean, if you're a bass fisherman, you need a couple spoons on your boat or in your bag. Get this guy back in. Grow big, buddy. There you go.
With a slowing tide, Max switched over to flutter jigging for striped bass, which we were marking deep on our Simrad. However, I knew I could coax another striper into clobbering my topwater plug. And guess what? I was right.
That was a sick eat.
That was a sick eat.
That was a sick eat.
You see him blowing up,
that thing was
blowing up, and then
almost like a sailfish tail walking in your parts.
Finally got tight there.
He's spunky, huh?
Yeah, he is, and he's going to figure out which side of the boat. I might have to do a little switching around.
Yep.
and Whatever.
Nice. Oh, we're marking them too pretty heavy.
Here he comes up here. We might have the net sooner than you think. Yeah, here he is. I got to come down this walk there with you.
Now he's dogging.
Here he comes up to the top. Here he comes. There he is.
Nice one, George. That's a nice popper fish right there.
They're all nice.
Yeah. This one's real nice.
Yeah, that's got a girth.
Yeah. It's a nice fish on the surface plug.
I'll lead him up. He's still dogging. Here you go. Oh my God, that's a
Good job.
a genuine moose.
Good job, man.
Look at the size of that thing.
That's a good one. Well, that's a good fish on the surface, George.
We take a look at that.
Yeah.
I'll hold one end of them.
Yep.
You're saying that this is one of the best runs of large striped bass you've had out of the Long Island Sound, Norwalk area in quite some time?
It has. It has been one of the best years we've seen in quite some time. Each year it's getting better and better.
And sure enough, let them go. So with everything pretty much chilling out there, we had a tremendous couple hours. We decided, well, let's head back to the barn and get set to do it really dark and early the following morning. So that's how day one ended up, and it was a pretty fantastic day.
George Poveromo's World of Saltwater Fishing is proudly brought to you by Simrad, never settle. Rapala holds the world record for world records. Suffix, always use the best line. Starbright Boat Care Products, blending technology with performance since 1973. George, we'll be right back.
After a successful day one of catching big striped bass on the Rapala X-Rap Magnum Explode topwater lures, Max Finch and I go the natural bait route on day two. Would chunking and live lining bunker outdo the artificials in topwater bite? We'll soon find out. We're off Norwalk, Connecticut. Speaking of South Norwalk, this picturesque town has it all. Shops, restaurants, open areas, live entertainment, and pretty much everything in between. The Residence Inn in South Norwalk has all the amenities one needs after a long day in the water, including a rooftop lounge. We base at a Residence Inn, which is within walking distance of downtown South Norwalk and a short drive to the public boat ramp. And in Bridgeport, just a short drive away, there's the Bass Pro Shops. I was actually part of the ceremonies when the shop opened in November 2015. Typical Bass Pro, the Bridgeport location is jam-packed with fresh and saltwater fishing tackle, camping and hunting gear, outdoors clothing, and a Tracker Boat Center featuring Nitro bass boats and Mako skiffs and center consoles. Now, let's get back to fishing.
Day two, the live baiting and chunking day. Walked down to the Mako 214, got it all ready to go, and ended up putting some live bunker in, and we headed out.
And we got out to the spot. We needed a little moving water to anchor, but once we got hooked and we were ready to go, we put a live one on top and one on the bottom.
Then all of a sudden, I see the rod bend, and Max is hooked up to the live bait on the bottom, and he gets himself a big striped bass.
He almost took the rod out of my hand. I wasn't paying attention.
Was that chunk down on the bottom? That's just a typical chunk.
I put a live one straight down.
Oh,
with the
you did?
weight.
Oh, you put the live
I
one
figured
down.
you had yours up top, column, and I'll put one on the bottom.
So you dropped. Nice and easy.
Yeah, good.
And there's your live bait one.
Yep.
All right, circle out of there. Okay, let me get this thing out of the way. All right, that was a quick one. You said we got to change it up a little bit.
Yep.
Let's do some live baiting and chunking. You send the live bait down. I'm free lining a livey. Was getting nervous, and I figured I was going to get that shot, but you got it deep.
Yeah, we covered, most of the water column. We weren't stuck on top. I figured put one on bottom, and we were talking, and next thing you know, this thing swallowed a live bunker. Beautiful fish.
Check Long Island Sound. Look how gorgeous it's flat.
Beautiful. Can't ask for nothing more.
And out of South Florida, I'm still wearing my jacket.
Yep. It's nice to our northerners right now.
Oh, yeah.
Light jacket in the spring is awesome for us.
Striped bass represent a crucially important recreational fish, especially in Northeast and New England saltwaters. Accessible by most anglers, they're found from brackish creeks on out into open coastal waters. Conservation measures enable a bounce back of trophy class fish in some regions, those pushing 25 pounds and better, but more action is needed to build back their stocks. Best bet? Toss a Topwater plug to stripers busting on surface corralled live baits. And artbypasta.com, from catch to canvas, rendering.
That's the canvas, baby.
Mercury Performance Stats, Norwalk striped bass. Seas, calm. Power, Mercury Pro XS V8 250 horsepower. Prop, Mercury Inertia Eco 19-inch pitch. Total miles, 48. Consistent cruise, 5,000 RPMs. Speed, 43 miles per hour. Total fuel burned, 19.2 gallons. We'll be right back. George Poveromo's World of Saltwater Fishing is proudly brought to you by the Florida Keys and Key West. Come as you are. ACR, the leader in marine safety electronics. Papa's Pilar Artesian Crafted Rum. Never a spectator. VMC, your expert in hooks. Art by Pasta, real life art. Visit artbypasta.com.
And Max got his and got it in, and so he sends out the same identical rig, sends it down, and I think it was no sooner did that thing hit the bottom, and I'm not even sure he put the rod in the holder. I just look over, and he's got this sideways set going on, and that rod has a deep bend, and I see that 40-pound test mono ripping off that reel. He's onto his second one. He come up to the top on the shake. You see that?
Not to.
So he just was, he didn't really aggressively hit that, did he? Man, another brute. Wow.
Piggy.
Jeez.
This one's been eating the bunkers.
And I net his. And there's number 2 for him in the morning. And we release it. And then all of a sudden, I see mine now really freaking out, running. And you see a big boil behind it. Now I got a bass going after it. And it's amazing how fast a bunker could swim when there's a big bass behind it. And this bunker took off. That bass missed it a couple times. And all of a sudden, boom, it was like somebody dropped a bowling ball in the water. That's what that strike looked like.
Crank a little more. Oh my God, he's not that happy. He's blowing it out the water. Oh.
He got it. He got it.
Hit him. Hit him.
I got him.
Good job, George. Good
Big
job.
fish.
That was awesome.
Look at that line coming off.
That was textbook.
And you had me spoolies with 40-pound suffix,
Yep.
mono. He strung out on the string, didn't he? All right, we might have a net here ready for you.
Looks like he had some shoulders.
Well, I could tell by the way the thing was peeling line off.
Good fish.
We got our moose?
Yeah, good fish.
Jeez. Max.
There he goes.
Holy
That's worth the 35 pounds.
dang. Man, thing was enormous. Blew up on that bunker. It reminds me of like you're free lining a live bait for a snook, and a snook is chasing around and it blows up on it. And the amount of line that this thing took off.
Man, it was burning. The patience is key. When you see them trying to hit your bait, you really want to reel, but you got to wait for that line to get tight with these circle hooks.
What would you say this thing would weigh?
This one's probably high 30-pound fish.
That is a...
This will get, by the time it hits this, its summer grounds going east, this thing will probably be north of 40 once it starts putting its weight on it. You feel its belly's empty.
Incredible.
Yep, just spawned, coming through hungry.
What an exciting hit. And yes, we're on the hook, an anchor boat, so you also have the current, that tide helping that fish out. So not only are you really fighting the bass, but you're dealing with the tide that's working against you too. And I got to tell you what, they put up a terrific fight, especially from an anchor boat with a hard running tide.
Yeah, so we had 2 excellent mornings, the great fishing, a lot of fish on artificials, a lot of fish on bait.
So that was definitely the ticket for us, and just had a thoroughly 2 gorgeous days of weather, fast action.
I think we were back to the dock both days by like 9 a.m. We were all worn out. We got excellent fish. We got to nap. We caught enough fish. We're by 9 a.m. back. We were content and everybody was happy. Before George came on this trip, I was nervous. I was out almost every day, early mornings, going to work to try to stay on top of this bite. And you know, the first day out, it started out a little slow, and then he actually experienced a very good topwater bite that lasted longer than it's lasted in the past 2 weeks. So I was relieved, and I slept like a baby, the only 3 hours of sleep I got that night actually. But we had an excellent trip. He got to see local Norwalk. He ate at Overton's where they have really good lobster rolls. And he did artificial, jigging, live bait, and chunk. We crammed it into 2 mornings. It was an excellent time, and I'd love to have George back fishing one day again.
If you're a fan of our show, keep up with our adventures by following us on social media. I'm on Instagram at George Poveromo, and on Facebook, go to facebook.com/George.Poveromo. You can also watch your episodes at any time on YouTube at George Poveromo TV. We'll see you on the water.